into another edition of the Sac City Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Vinny Milani, joined as always by your boy, the reigning and the defending and the undisputed valedictorian of the show, AJ Johnson.
I lost some pounds.
Below us, we have the smoothest voice in sports casting. He is good old Dylan Kearns.
Thank you.
I had nothing else attached to that. I just wanted to give him just a straight up name. He deserves it. He's respectful. He's a nice guy, and his voice is just ever so smooth. Ever so.
A lot of lies you told in no time at all.
I like to lie. I am a big time liar. That's what I do. But welcome in everybody to episode 36. We are talking the AFC East tonight and their schedule, their 2022 outlook, alongside top stories. We've got some interesting stuff to talk about. We've got some sad stuff to talk about. Yeah, so we'll get into that in just a few moments. But AJ, how are you? How goes it on this beautiful June 1st evening?
It goes. It's Gemini season in full effect. Yes, I know it's technically been that season for a couple of days, but really we don't talk about it till about June. But we're here. You see, I'm representing. It's that time. I'm looking for a good start to the summer. Sac City is going to be doing some big things. It's almost like a new mini era inside the new era we've begun on this new journey. By ourselves, separated from other places, those who shall not be named.
Yep, they now move into that category as they now move into that category as they who shall not be named. We got a new look though.
Yeah,
this is like one of the first debuts of our new triple box that was not forced because of you leaving. This triple box has been seen before on the show in recent shows because you have been like disconnected from everything, but this is the first time it has actually been on full display. They who shall not be named.
Word. Hey, we're doing our SCP thing now. You know, that's all that matters. We're here. Your boys are back in town.
It's Sac City or die. Are we allowed to say that? Are we bringing that back? SCOD? Is that
SCOD? I mean, look, I didn't want, I wasn't trying to like just rip off everything we were doing from, the Rough Hut. So I didn't want to just force it back in there. We could go SCOE, Sac City over everything. That's always a good one too. So we can work
Sac City against the world. Sac City against the world. Scowl. That's how it is. Okay, all right. Let's get into our top stories today and break off of this nonsensical nonsense that we've started off with we're talking AFC East in just a few moments, but our top stories start off with a very sad note. Just about an hour or so before showtime, we found out that former running back for the Dallas Cowboys was found dead in his apartment at the age of 38. The cause of the death is unknown, but a Frisco police spokesperson said officers are currently out on a welfare concern, but we are unable to provide any further information at this time. He played 7 years in the league, hard-working running back. I talked to Aaron before the show just to get a little bit deeper knowledge on Marion Barber because obviously the big Cowboys guy and just a hard worker, man. I saw a Twitter video of him just knocking some dude on his ass, blocking in practice. And everyone in the comments said that Marion Barber was Marshawn Lynch before Marshawn Lynch became a thing. And 14 touchdowns in 2006, third in the league, one-time Pro Bowler in 2007. AJ, what were your thoughts and feelings on this tragic news before showtime?
Yeah, just that, man. It's quite tragic. This is the second case in about a year now. And you think back to Vincent Jackson and kind of the same thing, somebody who just hasn't been seen or heard from in a little bit. And, they go and do a welfare check and find him dead in an apartment. And, it's a very sad thought process because I personally, back in 06 and 11, yes, I love football. Yes, I watch football. But as everyone knows, huge basketball guy, and I was into basketball a lot more than football back then. So I only, got glimpses in my mind of Marion Barber. I don't remember him as often or as frequent as some other people on the field. But one thing I do know is, and I hate remembering people this way, but I remember Des Bryant was talking about him a couple years back because he had saw a video of some Marion Barber highlights, and he was quoted saying it's sad for him. He can't even enjoy watching these Marion Barber highlights because at that time in his life, Marion Barber wasn't doing so hot. And that's not the first, story we've heard of a football player who left the game and hasn't really been able to get on their feet. And I know, or at least I hope and assume that the NFL does all it can for its players after they leave. But from some of these recent situations, it doesn't feel like they're doing as much as they can when these cases keep coming up. So, somehow this gets to the NFL and they can hear these words. It's time to make another effort. It's time to make another section of your NFL handbook that is dedicated to the players afterwards and the ones who are having these mental health hard times. And again, we don't know what attributed to the death, but just make sure that they're still successful after they leave your ranks. It shouldn't just be after they're not a part of your shield, they're no longer your concern, because they give their sweat, blood, and tears every single day for you guys. The least you can do is do it for them when they leave.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. We also found out this was on our show. We did not discuss it on Monday's show, but we will discuss it. Just mention it, of course, now to obviously pay our respects. Dylan, one of your favorite players, second-year man Jeff Gladney, former first-round pick of the Minnesota Vikings, died in a car accident on Monday. He was involved in a car accident around 2:30 in the morning in Dallas. Police say that there was a speeding car and it clipped a second vehicle from behind, and we lost Jeff Gladney. And what really all this kind of sums up, and I lost a friend this past weekend as well. Life is too short. I mean, Jeff Gladney was only 25 years old. I mean, life is way too short. And although Marion Barber was not young, still had plenty of life to live. And life is way too short to be mean or evil or hate in this world. Cherish every moment you have, because one day you might not have it. I'm a little emotional from talking about deaths at this moment. So it's hard for me to put words together.
Yeah.
So as the host, I'm normally supposed to formulate all this stuff, and it
hey,
be
easy, human, man. Buddy.
It's not easy.
Be human, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, we're all human beings here. This is definitely a tough conversation, tough topic to talk about with two great NFL players. Now, Gladney was getting his career started, and Barber obviously having his great career. But I mean, it's just really sad to see this news. And I mean, the Dwayne Haskins earlier about a month ago. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's hard to comprehend what all's taken place. And I mean, right now it's just you gotta just pray for those families and hope that everything goes well, because I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Our thoughts and prayers are out with the Barber family, as well as the Gladney family and friends, everyone involved. Wish them nothing but the best.
And your friends' family as well, Vinny.
Yeah, it's
thoughts and prayers, buddy.
Yeah, it's real. It's tough. It's tough, but the show must go on. We will talk football. We will try and bring in joy to everyone's world today on this June 1st evening. Shout out Tom in the chat. Let's go Rangers. Obviously, my Rangers are playing AJ's Tampa Bay Lightning in the Eastern Conference Finals, so things will get interesting as these games go on. But we're here to talk football tonight, and we are talking about the AFC East, and we kick things off. Oh, no, we can't. I can't see. I'm all scatterbrained. I'm all scatterbrained.
Okay.
I didn't pay the bills.
There's more.
We didn't pay the bills. AJ, save me. Save me.
I can save you. I can save you. I can tell people about how Sac City Pod is on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, and on TikTok. Go ahead, head over there, hit those follows, hit those shares, hit those loves, all the happiness that you can think of at Sac City Pod. Head over there, tell everybody. Tell me, tell you, tell your friend, tell the person next to you, tell the person in the room next to you, tell the person upstairs trying to sleep. Go up there, wake them up, and tell them about Sac City Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We appreciate the love. Your boys are headed to the top of the mountain. So come on with us. It's going to be a fun ride. Come visit the city. because your boys are back in town.
Come be a part of the city. That is the biggest thing. We are going to be a whole damn city come football season, okay? And you are not going to want to be anywhere else but Sac City to watch and enjoy all the football content in the world. We're breaking down the AFC East this evening, and we start off with the Buffalo Bills, and their schedule looks like this, including 4 primetime games and a nice little turkey showdown against Rangers just scored. Chris Kreider 1-0 against the Detroit Lions, week 12 on Thanksgiving. Their schedule, yes, looks like this. Dylan, what is your storyline heading into the 2022 season for the Buffalo Bills?
Might be a bold storyline, but this is where I'm headed. It's Super Bowl or bust. I mean, year after year, we've seen this team over the last few seasons. We see them get to the mountaintop. They get to where they want to be. They get a division title. They start playing close games in the playoffs. Last year, they get within an arm's reach of beating the Chiefs in the game that took place there, and they couldn't get it done. I mean, it's a sad thing about the Buffalo Bills. You bring in a Von Miller now. You help out your entire team by adding pieces to that roster. And Josh Allen continues to show that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You draft a running back. You have a plethora of weapons on offense. Stephon Diggs is back. Gabriel Davis stepped up last year. Let's go. All right, if you're the Buffalo Bills, this is the year. It's Super Bowl or bust. I want them to go out and show, look, we got to at least get to that game because we've shown progression in every single season. If you're not getting there, Josh Allen's only getting older, and the rest of the team's only getting older, and it can only fizzle out from there. So Super Bowl or bust is my storyline for Buffalo.
With all their moves that they did this past offseason to bring in guys like Von Miller and obviously paying Josh Allen and things like that, do you, Dylan, like, if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, what do you do in this situation? Because you look at their schedule, they're the best team in the AFC East. I feel like that's what we're all going to get at here. Is they're still the best team in the AFC East, arguably the best team in the AFC. But if they don't win a Super Bowl, what kind of changes would you be making in Buffalo if they don't end up there?
It's not really if you'd make any changes. Obviously, you'd have to regroup from what took place this year. But what you'd have to do when you look at this as a whole is you got to understand, I mean, the team you have is going to just go back and you're just going to have to reset and do it again. But you're going to have a fan base that's fired up and wants winning so bad. They're busting tables. They're eating chicken wings out in the cold when they're scoring 6 points a game before the Josh Allen era. And now they're out there just hauling ass, playing great football. And you got to start winning those football games and start getting to that mountaintop. What you're going to do, you're just going to go into next season. No matter what happens, whether you win or not, you're going into next season. And I don't think there's too much change that's going to be taking place with this team, but it's just you're only getting older. And this is a year you have to show it if you want any success in this league.
Yeah, I agree with Dylan. I mean, the makeup of this roster is definitely a running back type of squad. If they aren't to make it to the Super Bowl this year, lots of disappointment because they should be right there, especially after the way last season ended. But this is the type of roster that you maybe add a weapon here or there. You tweak something very small, but there's no overhaul, anything of that nature. This is a squad, and honestly, Dylan, what you were saying kind of tames right into what I was thinking because this team finally, in my opinion, has it all together. I looked at the Buffalo Bills for a few years now, and part of the situation that they've always had is they've had one part but not the other. You know, like I don't know if you ever watched Friday. They have ham, no burger. They got sugar, no Kool-Aid. Like they just never had it all together. And you think so I go back to like 2018, for instance. Their offense was ranked 30th, while their defense was ranked 2nd. In 2019, their defense was ranked 3rd, while their offense was ranked 24th. They got a little better in 2020. Their offense got to 2nd, but their defense regressed, and they were ranked 14th. And last year was the first time since 2000, and who freaking remembers that they had top 5 in the offense and the defense, first on their defense, 5th in their offense, respectively. So, and they've just gotten better. You look at what they've done to this roster on the defensive side of the ball, like you mentioned, adding guys like Von Miller, Greg Rousseau, who I think will give him another chance. I know he used to not be named, but I'll forgive him at this point. We don't even use our guy anymore. Ed Oliver's getting better by the day. Daquan Jones is a stud on that line. Kyer Elam in the secondary stepping up is supposed to step in and make a big contribution right away. So this defense is stacked. They got pieces on the offense. Josh Allen should be wanting to go scorched earth after they lost in the playoffs last season. It really is Super Bowl or bust, Dylan. They should have nothing else on their mind but making it to the final game of the season.
Yeah. And I think they could. And you look at their schedule, I feel like the AFC East, there's a lot of teams that have they play the NFC North. So it's like you got the Ravens, you got the Steelers, you got you have a tough division matchup when it comes to like who you're playing else in the AFC. And it's like you look at what the Patriots do, you look at what Miami can do, you look at what the Jets can do. Buffalo is like the only team that I feel confident in saying, I don't know if they're going to have that hard of a time against like a Baltimore, even a Kansas City, a Cincinnati, Cleveland when they get Deshaun Watson back. Like that's the story of their schedule. You look at their first few games right before that bye, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Titans, as much as we don't think the Titans are that big of a deal, still a former playoff team. Rams, Titans, Dolphins, Ravens, Steelers who always play you hard, and then the Chiefs. AJ, what's your record for the Bills before the bye?
Before the bye, I think I had them going. I want to say 4-1. Was that it?
4-1. Okay.
No, because there's 6 games,
Okay.
so that can't be true.
Nope.
You remember that issue I was having earlier?
Yeah.
Same one. So if I'm not mistaken, I definitely had them beating Tennessee. I'm pretty sure I had them beating Miami. I think I had them slipping up at Baltimore. Here we go. All right, thank you. I had a win a win at Los Angeles, a win at Tennessee, I had a loss at Miami, a loss at Baltimore, and then a win at Pittsburgh and a win at Kansas City. It's how I had them shaking up before the bye. And it's kind of one of those things just in the beginning of the season. You're still working some things out. You get lost to an injury that you weren't expecting. How are your new pieces fitting in? And then let's not forget, even though Ken Dorsey has been there and working with Josh Allen, as much as I know that's probably the thing that may take him over the hump now that he's calling the plays and not just a QB coach, it also takes a second. It's a long NFL season. You have to make sure you're doing what works. And, if you drop a game or two in the early season, while that's not what you want, that's something you recover from. It's not the same as dropping week 14 or 13 and in the hot spots of the schedule.
Yeah. I have them 5-1 to start the season. I think they lose against Los Angeles. We talked about it on our show when we were previewing the NFC West about the Rams and that showdown against Buffalo on Thursday Night Football, the kickoff. If I remember correctly, the team that hosts that opening night game, the defending Super Bowl champions, are 7-1 in the last 6 or 8 years. So I think that is going to be a tough one for Buffalo, but they get back on track. They obviously beat a Tennessee team who I don't think is that good. Miami, I feel like they're still figuring it out, and we'll talk about them in just a little bit. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, they take care of business there. That Baltimore game is probably the biggest early concern, though. They're on the road in Baltimore. That is probably the biggest concern there. Dylan, what's your record for the Bills before the bye?
Before the bye, I got them. So pull up the schedule real quick. Looking at the Rams, I think that's a game that the way I do it, I don't go game by game and say they'll win this one, they'll win that one. I played out my head.
Go game by game here and go game by game here and tell me what their record is before the bye.
See, well, I think I had them at 4-2. I had them beating LA. I had them beating Tennessee. I had them beating a sorry ass Miami team. I'll get into them in a minute. 3-0. We got them dropping Baltimore, and I think I got them dropping either Pittsburgh or Kansas City. So I think I got them 4-2.
Okay, that's interesting in my opinion. And oh man, that Dolphins talk is gonna be spicy. Let's see what our records are. Aaron's got them at 14-3, which is heavy. I also have them at 14-3. AJ, you have them at 13-4, and Dylan, you have them at 12-5. When I look at this, I'm like, okay, Dylan is the lowest out of all of us here on the Bills, but that's not even a disrespectful thing. That's not even disrespectful to the Bills. 12-5 is obviously a great record, but Dylan, I have to ask you as part of my job, where are the rest of their losses? You said they lose to either Pittsburgh or Kansas City. They lose to Baltimore. Where are the other losses? Where are the other 3 losses?
I think I had them dropping Green Bay. I got them dropping 1 against New England. And then it's either Cincinnati, Minnesota, somewhere in there. I think they would drop one of those games.
Know how much you love Minnesota, so I'm not surprised that you think that they lose.
Well, that's I mean, think about it. I mean, Minnesota's a team that could upset anybody. Like if their offense is clicking, they have a team that could beat anybody.
Is that the upset? Bailey asked in the comments here. And shout out to everybody in our chat, by the way. Keep the comments buzzing. If you have any questions, concerns, thoughts that you want to bring up about the schedules or whatever we're talking about, let us know. Bailey did say, is there anyone on the schedule who could upset Buffalo? I guess Minnesota would be your upset here, Dylan, for Buffalo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe New England if you want to call it an upset, but it's a division game.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that an upset. I mean, I'd call it an upset on the sheer fact that I don't think New England's going to be that good this year, but we'll get there at that point in time. I mean, depending on who's at the helm at Cleveland, I mean, I know their squad's good, but we saw that they underperform when they don't have a stud at quarterback. Can Tennessee get them early in the season? Maybe. I don't believe it either, but other than that, yeah, I think those are the three you'd really look at: Cleveland and Minnesota, maybe a Tennessee.
I have them losing. I don't know where we stand on like saying that the division opponents are upsets other than like because I think the Jets beat them. I think the Jets pull off a win in week 4. I have them beating the Bills in week 14. That's where I have actually on the road. That's in Buffalo, that week 14 matchup. I have them beating Buffalo there, so that would be my upset for the Bills. I don't know if
losing at home.
Do we consider the Jets an upset?
Why don't we talk about that when we get there?
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the New England Patriots. Now, this is where the spice hits. This is where the real spice hits. The New England Patriots schedule looks like this. They have the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football in week 7. And then it gets interesting for primetime games. And I wanted to go to you, AJ, on this. They have a Sunday night matchup against the Vikings, and then a Thursday night matchup against the Bills, and then a Monday night matchup against Arizona, and a Sunday night matchup against Vegas. What does the stretch of primetime games mean for the New England? Like, what does it mean for a team to have 4 straight primetime games, Sunday to Thursday to Monday to Sunday night again? Like, what does it mean for a team to have this many primetime games in a row?
That they're playing a lot of teams that we're high on. That's it. Okay. You asked me that 4 years ago when Tom Brady was still there. It would mean that it's the Patriots regime. But let's be honest, this is a team that is going to not look very good this year. But look at who those games are against. Buffalo, who's a high-profile team. Arizona, who plays really good offense and has weapons on the field. Las Vegas, a team a lot of people are high on with Josh McDaniels going over there. You can make that storyline a reason it's on primetime. Josh McDaniels versus Bill Belichick. They have Devontae Adams now. That defense looks a lot better. In most years, I would have said it's because it's the Patriots and they deserve it. But in this situation, they are playing teams that deserve primetime games, and it lined up on their schedule for them the correct way. I'm not high on the Patriots team this year. And everyone said we had a reason to not be high on the Patriots last season, and I saw a little bit more, but I think they lost pieces that are going to help them. I don't think their defense is anywhere near as stout as it was going to be. And it was really hard for me to give them the record I did of 6-11 because of the fact that Bill Belichick's there. But Bill Belichick, the GM, did not do Bill Belichick, the coach, a lot of favors this upcoming season.
We are going to get so much hate from Patriots fans. Like, we have to be. This is what we talked about the other day.
I'll give them love.
No, but no, this is what we talked about the other night, though. Before we continue on with the Patriots talk, you have to be honest with yourselves. Just be honest with yourselves, okay? The Patriots did not do anything really in this offseason to push and move the needle forward. Like, nothing at all. What do they do?
Brought in Devontae Parker.
7 running backs.
Okay, they brought in Devontae Parker. Okay, that moves the needle?
I think it gives Mac Jones another weapon.
Okay, does that move?
Answer
my question.
Year.
Answer my question.
I think it moves the needle to where it helps your offense out. I mean, Aguilar's coming back. There's more people in another year with them. I mean, I think Jonnu Smith was atrocious last year. You get him going a little bit, there you go. I think their offense is a little bit better this year than last year.
Because of what?
Devontae Parker.
That makes that offense better?
I think it does.
Devontae Parker, 515 yards last season, 793 yards the year before. He did have 1,200 the year in 2019. That was a great season for him. And then he got hurt in the end and lost me on fantasy playoffs, but that's another thing. But then the year before that, 309 yards. Now, I'm not saying Devontae Parker's not a talent, but it's not like he's going somewhere that's all of a sudden going to make his talent blossom. Mac Jones, I still believe is a good quarterback. I think Mac Jones will have a good year. I don't think the Patriots will. Nelson Aguilar, we've been trying to make him something since he was a Philadelphia Eagle. Another player who's had talent has not translated on the field. Their best talent is Damian Harris and possibly Ramondre Stevens. They got two good tight ends last season. Didn't really know how to use them except for Hunter Henry catching a touchdown every so often in the back half of the season. They've got a lot of issues to work out, and their defense, I do not think, has the depth or the talent any longer to carry them along with a putrid offense.
That's fair, but I don't think their offense is putrid. I don't. I seriously don't. I think you got Josh McDaniels out of the way. I think that helps their offense.
Out of the way? Out of the way?
Oh, here, let me ask you this. Who did they move him for? Who did they think was so good to have his position? Don't look it up. I'll help you. It's vacant. They have nobody calling their plays right now. They don't even have an offensive coordinator.
It's Joe Judge.
Oh, not yet.
Joe Judge.
He's just working with the quarterback.
They're splitting. As of right now, from the last thing I've seen is Bill Belichick and Joe Judge are doing it together. They're going to be calling the offensive plays together. Now, where's your...
It's a recipe for disaster.
I'm confused, Dylan. I'm really confused.
No, I seriously believe in the Patriots. Now, this was not the take I wanted to give. I wanted to give a take on the defensive side of the ball, but you guys got me going on the offense.
You got to defend yourself here.
Do it all.
I seriously think the offense... Okay, the Patriots are going to be a little bit better than most people think this year. And I'll say this. I'm not a Patriots fan. You know me. But I look at them, right? Who cares if they don't have an offensive coordinator? I think that they have enough pieces on their offense that makes them a little bit better this year. I think Mac Jones can take a step. I think year 2 in the league's good for him. Bill Belichick's a heck of a football coach, right? He's going to help you get to that next level. It doesn't matter. I think that he's still going to help you out. Even if he's a defensive-minded coach, I still think that voice is going to help him carry what he can bring to that offense. And on the defensive side, I want to get to this take. I looked up before the game, research, right? Big-time research guy here today. I looked up, and I saw that the offensive pass blocking that they're going against this year is one of the worst schedules in the league when it comes against that. I trust Matt Judon in year 2. I trust Josh Uche. Everyone's saying how big of a role he's going to have this year. Bill Belichick just praising him, excited for what he could bring to that team. You still have Barmore in the middle. I like the Patriots' defense this year. I know the secondary isn't as great as it was when you had Stephon Gilmore and J.C. Jackson there. I'm serious. I like the Patriots' defense. I think that pass rush can get home this year. But I think you guys are a little bit downplaying them, thinking that every one of their moves is strange, but no pun intended. But I mean, but I still think you got to take a chance on Belichick because he's a hell of a football coach.
You have to.
Right?
Go ahead.
If there's one coach that you can be like, sometimes the coach doesn't have the talent on the field, so it doesn't matter how good they are. Belichick's one of them. And to me, he gives them a few more wins. But also to me, that's why they got to 6 wins, in my opinion. Like, I think it is really difficult to look at this squad and then look at the moves that they decided to do with this squad in the draft, in the offseason. We'll see what happens post June 1st. I doubt much. I just don't think they've done enough. You talk about weapons. I'll do this real quick. Jacoby Myers was their leading receiver with 83 receptions, 866 yards. Had his first touchdown of his career last season. You brought up Nelson Aguilar, 64 targets, 37 receptions, didn't even eclipse 500 yards. Hunter Henry probably had the most touchdowns with 9, and that's because he was a red zone threat as a tight end. I don't know that with Mac Jones and no real offensive coach and a Joe Judge who is still reeling from how bad New York looked from him, that you are going to be able to take a big enough step from Mac Jones with these weapons that all of a sudden, they're going to win 10, 11 games? Is that where you have them at?
No, I got them at 7 wins. I'm saying that I think they're going to be a good team.
At 7 wins?
That's what isn't that what they...
Everyone's trashing the Patriots, but I'm serious. Like, I think they're going to be better than most people think. Now, this right here, they're not competing with Buffalo. That's never my intention here with this take. All I'm saying is the Patriots are going to steal some more wins than you think because of their pass rush, and I think Bill Belichick's a great coach. Their offense got better too.
I don't think that's the case, though. And you look at last season and their schedule, they have I'm going to list their wins for you. The Jets, not a playoff team. The Texans, not a playoff team. The Jets, again, not a playoff team. They beat the Chargers. It's a good win. The Panthers, not a playoff team. The Browns, not a playoff team. Atlanta, not a playoff team. Tennessee, okay. And Buffalo, okay. And Jacksonville. This team this team got by last season from playing, I don't want to say a cupcake schedule, but a favorable schedule. That doesn't happen this year. You look at their schedule this year, and it's funny you say, Dylan, you have them at 7 wins, and they're going to be good. They can steal some wins. This year, they're not doing much of anything, in my opinion. When you look at this guy, Baltimore, Green Bay, Cleveland, with maybe Deshaun Watson, we'll see. But Indianapolis, Minnesota, Buffalo, Arizona, like this schedule does not favor the New England Patriots, whether you think they're going to do good or not. Our standings look like this. Aaron has them at 7-10. AJ, you have them at 6-11. Dylan and myself also have them at 7-10. This is going to be a season where we see a major step back for the New England Patriots, in my opinion, because we're going to start seeing that what their strategy is not going to work. None of that, I'm still very confused at how you think this offense is the way you think they are, because I don't think Devontae Parker brings major change to this offense, and what they had last year. But what, that's like okay, you have a 3,000 piece puzzle. You bring in one piece to complete a 3,000 piece puzzle. Really doesn't do much. Parker's you don't have the rest of the 3,000 pieces.
Well, Parker's about a 500 piece.
He's one piece in a 500 piece.
No.
Yeah.
500. He's 500 pieces in a 3,000 piece puzzle because he makes that much of an impact on your team.
Can we do what we do and have Dylan tell us his 7 wins?
Well, you have.
I can say we have 5 losses.
I guess we can, but even you saying they have 7 wins and then saying they're going to have a good season, like they're going to be better than what most people think, like that doesn't really add up. Like 7 wins is not good. Like this, especially for the Patriots way. And I'm sure tons of Patriots fans are watching this right now on YouTube and leaving us nasty comments in the thread. But 7 wins is not the Patriots way. That is not the Patriots standard. That is not the Bill Belichick way. So Dylan, where are your 7 wins?
Well, he doesn't win in Miami. That's 1 loss. I got them beating Pittsburgh. That's their first win. I got them beating Detroit. There's their second win. I think they can beat Chicago. There's 3. The Jets 4. Indianapolis, I don't think they can win. I got them beating Minnesota on a Sunday night. That's primetime Kirk Cousins. He'll fall. There's 5. I look at Vegas. I see that against Josh McDaniels. Belichick will be fired up playing his former assistant coach. There's 6. And I think they take either one of those divisional games at the end or they beat Cincinnati. There's my 7.
You lost me. You lost me when you said, I think they can beat Chicago. I stopped listening. If you only think they can beat Chicago, they're not a good team, bro. I'll tell you this. I'll give you the Las Vegas on your thought process that you mentioned in the way Belichick and his proteges go toe-to-toe in the first game. But for me, I have them beating Minnesota in that primetime game. And this may not be a realistic, but the way I feel right now, I have them losing every other game to close the season out. Against Buffalo, against Arizona, against Vegas, against Cincinnati, against Miami, because I have them winning it in week 1, and then against Buffalo in the end. And I get it. It's a division game, but I think Buffalo is going to be on a whole nother planet this season. And 2, I also think the Patriots are going to be on a whole nother planet.
I want to bring up one point. I think division games are different when it's early in the year and late in the year. Like if you play each other like say it's like mid-October, then you play them again early November, late November. That's different as opposed to week 1 and week 17. Those are two different football teams,
Absolutely.
Injuries, whatever it is. I mean, that's where I think you could take 2 of those division games because they're spread out so far. And I mean, it's one that you could definitely look at. It's a different point in the season as opposed to playing close divisional games back to back, if not separated by 1 week.
I mean, that's my same thought process and how they lose 2 to Buffalo because it's so close that they really play each other again. It's not too much of a different team. The only way I really think they would beat a Buffalo is if Buffalo is the number 1 seed in the AFC and everybody's rested. And even then, Buffalo's pretty deep. They're not stupid deep, but they're pretty deep. So yeah, it's going to be hard sledding for the Patriots, and their eyes are going to be open wide this season, in my opinion. Yeah. I'm always down to be proven wrong, though. I am always down for that. That means we got good football.
What's your storyline for this, AJ? Because you didn't get a chance to. Dylan just.
I kind of talked about it. I think Mac Jones is going to have a good year. I think, and what I mean by that is, and temper the expectations, similar to like what Deshaun Watson did with the Texans when they were 4-12. Had a great season. I do not think Mac Jones put up 5,000 yards. I'm just thinking about a quarterback that played well, and the team did him no favors. I think that he may look good behind. I think he may look good behind the offensive line. I think he may make a lot of good decisions. I think he may have a pretty decent completion rating. I don't think his defense will help him, and I don't think his playmakers will get the job done when they need to. I know like using Deshaun Watson in the Texans was tough, but
I get what you're
somebody off my head.
I get what you're saying here, though, and I think to me it's Mac Jones is not going to have miserable stats. That's not what the Patriots do. That's not what the Patriots are going to put him in a situation to do. He's going to have, laugh at this. He's going to have Baker Mayfield type numbers where it's just average. It's not great. It's not good. It's not bad, but it's not going to win you games. It's not going to let you compete with what everybody else has in this AFC and what everybody else has in this AFC East, where Zach Wilson might be taking a step in the right direction this season with all the weapons that they've added. Dylan, that is a team, and we'll get to the New York Jets in a little bit, but that's a team that added and moved the needle forward with weapons, okay? Not just adding Devontae Parker to a Kendrick Bourne and a Jacoby Myers and a Jonnu Smith and a Hunter Henry. All respect to Hunter Henry. He was pretty good in fantasy with all of his touchdowns, but other than that, let's be real here. Let's be real.
What about Aguilar?
Be honest with yourself. Yeah.
Stop it.
Oh, yeah. And Nelson Aguilar. But before we move on to the Miami Dolphins, I want to let everyone know in the chat and everyone watching at home right now on YouTube, if you're a Patriots fan, comment on this video. Let us know what you guys think of the Patriots this season and defend your Patriots in a logical way. We want to see those comments. Logical. Aaron loves arguing with fans and talking about real life statistics and numbers and facts about where teams are going and what's actually happening. So if you don't like what we're saying about the Patriots, defend yourself. Not just with the, Belichick hasn't steered us wrong yet. Other than that, give us some real reason on why the Patriots are going to be better than 7-10. The Miami Dolphins are next on our team list in the AFC East, featuring 2 primetime games against the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and 1 Christmas Day game against the Green Bay Packers in Week 16. Dylan, what is your storyline heading into the 2022 season for the Miami Dolphins?
Well, it's put up or shut up for Tua Tagovailoa. I'm sick and tired of hearing it, all right? I know he's year 3 in the league now. It's put up or shut up. I mean, every single year this guy's injured, and he's only been 2. But go back to his college days, you'll see it. You'll see a track record there too. Very overhyped. There's games where he looks good. There's games where he looks absolutely atrocious. You got to show up. You bring in a Tyreek Hill. You start making moves on this team. You start assigning players. This is the year he has to do it. He has not passed the eye test for me yet. I cannot stand Tua Tagovailoa. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in this league. And this is going to be a tough test right now for him because he's got to put up or shut up with a roster like that in a division like this, to where he could finish second in the division if he's happy or if they're lucky. But he doesn't have it, and he's got to put up or shut up.
Yeah, as we get to the second half of this division, this is one of the most sit-on-the-fence divisions that are in the NFL this season, because I look at these teams and all we just said about the Patriots, they do still have Belichick. What we think about Miami and Tua Tagovailoa, they did just do a lot to help him out and help the other side of the ball out. That secondary is going to be real. We haven't talked about the Jets yet, but we all love what they did in the draft, and we all believe in what Robert Saleh can do with the defense. So I look at this Miami Dolphins team, and I have them in the middle of the pack because I really can't call it. While they have the roster to be an 11-6 team, a maybe 10-7 type team, with Tua, with all these new motions, I don't know if they're going to get past 8-9, 9-8. I don't know if I can believe in it because I haven't seen it. Now, there are a lot of people around the NFL who believe what they did with Teron Armstead and getting all the running game with Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert, bringing in Tyreek Hill, obviously one of the top receivers in the league, still having Mike Gesicki, that they have all the requisite tools to do what needs to get done. And it's not fair because there's other teams that I believe in, and with this team, I'm ready to say I just need to see it. But that's just how I feel, because with Tua Tagovailoa, all the years he wanted to believe, and despite the 7 or 8 game win streak, there was a lot that went into it. And this is another defense, in my opinion, that kind of regressed. I don't think they have the same piece. That secondary, fantastic. I don't see the edge rush that they once had. Jalen Phillips is going to be fantastic. I don't see the front 7 that they once had. I think that's the problem. If you can't get to the quarterback and they got time to throw, well, that doesn't really do much for your secondary either. So I think this team is going to fall middle of the pack. And once again, I love to be proven wrong.
Yeah, I think that's not even necessarily a bad thing for the Dolphins. Like I know last year they went on that win streak and everyone was gushing about that, but I never bought into that. They finished 9-8 last year, and like I know if we were to say like, okay, they go 8-9 this year, 9-8 again this year, it'd be a bad thing because it's just like continuing that same track. But I didn't buy them last year. You look at that win streak they had. Houston, Baltimore, who was without
everybody.
Lamar Jackson. Yeah, without everybody, basically. The Jets, the Panthers, the Giants, the Jets again, the Saints with Ian Book. And I mean, so like their win streak that pushed them to where they were wasn't that great. And I just talked about with the Patriots schedule. It's a similar thing with the Dolphins schedule. You start off, sure, the New England game, you could win that game. But Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, at New York, who got better, Minnesota, a good coached Pittsburgh team. Like I don't mean to put the Jets on like the same level as the Bengals or the Bills and the Ravens and stuff like that. But like you go from week 1 to week 7, you got 1, maybe 2 easy games in that stretch. The rest are going to be hard fought wins. So you might end up seeing this Dolphins team go through a similar stretch last year. And I don't know if they can bounce back, because you look, their win streak last year started in week 9. Week 9, Chicago, sure, they could win that game. But Cleveland, Houston, they could win that game. But then on the road at San Francisco and at Los Angeles and at Buffalo and Green Bay, like, you're not going to be able to go on that type of stretch run like you did last season to make up for poor play at the start of the season, which can be and is expected at the beginning of the season when you're playing a tough schedule like that. So I like where you guys both went talking about Tua, because it is put up or shut up for Tua this year. You could give him another year to develop. That's fine, but he's got to show something. He's got to show something of promise, some type of promise this season to be that type of quarterback, because unlike the New England Patriots, which we just talked about, they also brought in tons of weapons to build around their franchise quarterback, Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson. You drafted Jalen Waddle. I mean, this is a team. You've got Mike Gesicki still there. You went out and paid and extended Mike Gesicki. You brought in 15 running backs to play the San Francisco 49ers style of football. You got all pieces for Tua there to make him a good quarterback. Now it's time to do it, and I don't know if he can. And this is someone who I was rooting for Tua, but I got to be honest with myself. I don't know if he can do it.
Too bad it'll be Teddy Bridgewater's team by midseason. I mean, that's the thing. If Teddy Bridgewater is an 8-9 quarterback here with this roster. I seriously think he is. And I mean, I will wait. I will wait to see if Tua can do anything, and I hate that. It's my pet peeve. Thanks a lot, Stinton. I mean, I don't want to do this here with Tua Tagovailoa because it's ridiculous how it just doesn't pass the eye test. You get a new head coach in there, Logic, Bobby Tarantino, Mike McDaniel, whatever you want to say there. He comes in there. He's going to implement his own little system that he's got. He's got his 15,000 running backs that worked well with Shanahan in San Francisco, and they're just going to give it a go. And I think it's a recipe for disaster. Every single year you see a team overhyped, whether it's the Browns last year or the Bears in 2019 coming off that 12-4 season. Every year, and both of those teams, right, had questions. You thought they were all right with the quarterback position. Trubisky, great year 18. He's going off in 19. No. Oh, Baker, good year in 20, going off in 21. No. Oh, Tua, this is a shot. No. Okay? I'm sick and tired of it. Every year, teams are overhyped. This is the one that you circle in red ink. You break out the Sharpie for this one. Circle them big on the calendar and say, this is a team that's going to underperform, and this is a team that's overhyped. That's the Miami Dolphins this year.
You really feel that type of way about Tua, man. Look, hey, I'm not gonna knock you. I just got through saying I don't know if they can do it. I will say this is the best team Tua's had since he left Alabama, respectively.
Yeah.
As NFL team terms, and that's quite possibly enough for him to show what he's capable of. But the key thing for Tua is going to have to be consistency. It's not just we can see what you can do. What he's shown he's capable of doing is why he's still there right now, which is why they went out and got a bunch of pieces for him, because clearly they like the guy. Clearly they think he has talent. They just have to find a way to unleash it. And if he can't do it with the Jalen Waddle and a Tyreek Hill and all the other names we listed and the protection they went and got him, well, then it's probably just the best that he's not going to do it, at least in Miami. Maybe he's your favorite guy to talk about. Maybe he's the next Marcus Mariota, and he has to go find a second place to go stand behind, and then eventually go and play somewhere in a few years. But I do think he's earned the right to have this chance this year. And like I said, I'm slightly sitting on the fence because this team has the makeup to do it. I just don't know that he can yet.
And to answer Aaron's comment here, he didn't show promise last year with limited help. He showed potential. I'm not saying he had a bad year last year. You have to win some of those games. He has to do, like, I thought Brian Flores did a hell of a job scheming around to get these wins, in my opinion. Like, that's really kind of what it was. And those kind of just those trick plays with Jalen Waddle and the fancy plays that they did. But he's got potential. I'm not saying he can't do it. I don't have that much. Like, I'm not sold on him being the guy. I'm not saying, okay, he's going to be the guy. And you look at the standings here, Aaron is very high at 10-7. AJ's at 9-8. Dylan, you are the lowest at 6-11, and I'm at 8-9. I'm thinking, I think AJ and I are on the same page here. As they're on the same level as last year. And honestly, to me, when you look at 8 and 9, I would say that that's better than last year. And I know they finished 9-8. But we talk about the schedule when we pull that schedule up. If they can finish 8 and 9 with this schedule, I think that's very good. And AJ's record was 9-8. So if you can do that with this schedule, I think that is a step forward in the right direction. And if Tua can get you that record, I think that is a step in the right direction, because you're not going to win not 8 or 9 games if Tua is not going to be impactful. And I have them, let's see my schedule for the Dolphins and their wins, their notable wins. Beating New England. I have them beating Buffalo in week 15. I have them beating Green Bay. And I have them beating the Jets at the end of the season. Like, I have some pretty notable wins for the Miami Dolphins on this schedule. So that to me is it's good.
You also have some pretty notable losses then. I'm surprised to hear you have them beating Green Bay. That's one of the teams I thought that they wouldn't be able to take hold of. I think Green Bay's on another level than Miami as of this point in time.
I think Green Bay goes down to Miami on Christmas. That's tough for them. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Miami Christmas Day. Yeah, and I think really it's, and we talk about it like what I said in the beginning with their schedule, the way it starts off. It's like, okay, it's going to be tough and it's going to be hard to, like, you're figuring out this new team and getting everyone in that rhythm, because obviously they're going to have all this time in camp and practice and preseason to get the flow going. But it's much different once the regular season starts. It might take time for them to really start building what they actually have, especially when you're going up against Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Cleveland, if they have Deshaun Watson. Those are tough games. So I think that they end up coming out of the bye with a more figured out sense of what this team is about.
Their schedule's in pockets. Like overall, you look at their schedule, it kind of fluctuates, but then they have these 3 and 4 game stretches with really tough teams in there, a couple gauntlets, and that's where there's an issue. It's those games that you have to get out of, and it's one of those situations where it's like if you can pull out 2 wins in this 4-game stretch, you're staying in good shape. And that's where the 1 game at a time mentality has to really be strong. You can't look ahead when you're the Miami Dolphins in this schedule this year, especially with so much on the line. Not only for Tua, but, for this franchise, really. I mean, you just got a new head coach and everything, but let's not forget there's still a lot of murmur around the Miami Dolphins organization that, doesn't have to do with football, so to speak, as far as on the field, but a lot of eyes are on Miami, and sometimes winning will help people forget that. So they definitely need to have a good season. I'm okay with what their offense can do. I need to know what that front seven can do.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to our last team here. And again, Dylan, you've been chuckling about the New York Jets all night long. So we're going to be able to hear what your thoughts are. Their schedule looks like this, including 1 lone primetime game against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 16. All right, Dylan, put up or shut up. What do you got for the New York Jets?
Yeah, the New York Jets, looking at the thing, I got them saying, how do they take the next step? I mean, last year, the way that Zach Wilson finished the year was pretty solid. He was impressive, all right? He finished the year pretty strong as he went down the final stretch of his games. He was throwing balls to Braxton Berrios. They started looking good. We saw that with Sam Darnold towards the end of his Jets tenure, right before he went into that next season. I'll pull up the numbers here in a second. Sam Darnold, in the last 4 weeks of that season, showed enough promise to where they're like, all right, let's go. This is definitely going to be the season he takes that jump. That was before he fell on his face and eventually got out of town. Zach Wilson needs to take that next step with the Jets. I think this is a better situation this year for the Jets than it was when they had Darnold and under placement there. This is a year for the Jets. They need to take that next step. They have a nice team, right? You have Robert Saleh, a great coach. You have a defense. You bring in weapons. They just need to take that next step. And can Zach Wilson be the answer? I mean, we still got to see it. It's only been 1 year in the league. He needs to take that next step as a quarterback in this league.
I'm not sure where you got that Zach Wilson finished the season that strong. His last game against Buffalo, he was 7 of 20 for 87 yards and a tutty.
Yeah, look at the 4 weeks before that.
That's not that good. The 19 for 33 is not good. It's not that good, but the 234 and 1 is all right. And then 14 of 22 for 102 yards against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's not very good. And really, it's not phenomenal for Zach Wilson at the end of the season. What I was really just trying to argue about, but I do think Zach Wilson has the potential to be a very good quarterback. And unlike the Patriots, the Jets actually brought in weapons for Zach Wilson to succeed. They brought in Garrett Wilson. They have Corey Davis. They have CJ Uzomah, who's a good safety net tight end. They brought in Breece Hall to pair with Michael Carter in a pretty good run game. They brought in the protection in Laken Tomlinson to line up with hopefully Mekhi Becton and Elijah Vera Tucker. This Jets team, this Jets offense, they've done everything that they possibly could to help Zach Wilson succeed in his second year and take that next step that you were talking about. But AJ, what about this Jets defense?
This is the thing that I think will be the end-all be-all for the Jets and how they can perform. Robert Saleh, defensive-minded coach, did very well with San Francisco. And now you look at what he's brought in on the defense, adding to what they already had. We talk a lot about Baltimore last season being injured. We forget the Jets actually were pretty injured on their defensive side of the ball as well. Carl Lawson went down. LaMarcus Joyner went down. Quentin Williams spent some time injured as well. A lot of their pieces that they hung their hat on. Marcus May, who's no longer there now with the Saints. A lot of those guys were injured, and this defense never got started, really. But now you look at it, and from top to bottom, this defense can be a problem. I mean, C.J. Mosley's still there, bringing in Sauce Gardner, who, to be honest, a lot of people are ready for him to just be that number one guy. Robert Saleh has already said he's not just coming in and taking Bryce Hall's spot. Bryce Hall played pretty well last season as a quarterback as well. So you think about that fact, adding Gardner to that. We know how I feel about Jermaine Johnson. They've got a lot of solid pieces on this defense, and it stays pretty deep. So if this defense can be the factor that kind of gives their offense life, they can have a much better season. And again, this is another one of those teams I sit on the fence because they have a really tough schedule. While I do think Zach Wilson's going to step forward, have a much better season, and Vinny, I have to side with Dylan and Aaron on this one. His playing well last year wasn't in the numbers; it was in his confidence.
You're right.
It was what he was doing and kind of feeling the offense around him is kind of what happened. And now they're raving about how he's doing that with these extra weapons. Now you have different levels to the offense as well, but their schedule is so tough. And like, I got excited to go look at these games, what would happen. And all right, let's see how the Jets start. And their first 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, don't they play the entire AFC North right off rip? Is that that's what? Yeah,
Baltimore,
right off rip.
Cleveland. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like that's, to me, that's probably 2 losses at least. We don't know what Cleveland's going to look like or what Pittsburgh will be like at week 4. I think they have a good chance in Miami. I think Green Bay and Denver's a hard point. They just have a really tough schedule, and I think that's the one thing that sets them back. So this is kind of like, for me, this is like the Golden State Warriors of last year. It's a very young squad with a lot of talent who has a tough schedule, and all the studs are not where they need to be. Looking forward next season and the season after, this is a squad that should be in the talk of the town.
I wanted to bring up one more thing on Wilson, and 5 straight games to finish his season without a pick, right? Those were without a pick. Yeah. You don't want to look at the numbers of throwing deep balls, whatever. That offense was a little bit broke, right? He was throwing to nobody besides Berrios. Tampa Bay game was nuts. That was 28-24. The Buccaneers had to come back and win that game. He kept them in it. He played good football. And I wanted to bring up what I was talking about with Sam Darnold at the end of his rookie year. He had 3 straight games at the end of his rookie season without a pick, 2 touchdowns performance, a 3 touchdown performance, 253 yards, 341 yards. He showed promise at the end of his rookie year. And I'm just saying, from a Jets fan perspective, not from a Jets fan perspective, for Jets fans out there, they've seen this narrative before. They just want to see how can he get to that next step, because Darnold couldn't get to that next step in year 2. But this year with Zach Wilson, with the weapons, he should be able to.
And the thing I like the most about what the Jets are doing with Zach Wilson, and I'm obviously, my family is big Jets fans, so it's like I have to keep myself in tune with Jets football. The biggest thing I liked about what they have done with Zach Wilson is they've done everything that they can to make him comfortable, and not even just necessarily talking about the weapons that they brought in this offseason to help him, but the play calling and the way that they're going through these games and letting Zach Wilson either win them or lose them these games. They're letting him be free. They're not keeping a leash on him. They're letting him develop as a quarterback. And obviously, he's just a rookie quarterback. So it's like, you understand the struggles, but they're doing everything, and they're doing everything right in the development of Zach Wilson, whether it's building around him or calling the right plays to give him that next level, the development at the next level. And I honestly, I mean, I put out the Instagram post today, who you think is going to have the better second year, whether it be Mac Jones or Zach Wilson. And I thought to myself, I think Zach Wilson ends up having the best sophomore year out of any quarterback in the league. Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Davis Mills. I think that Zach Wilson has the best second-year performance out of all of those quarterbacks.
He's got the potential, and you made a very good point, because they are just letting him be free. And it's kind of the luxury that you have with the squad you had last year. Like we were talking about, everyone expects to be good. That's the goal when you come in the season. But knowing where you are at a certain point last year, you let him play his game, and then you see what he does well as a QB, and you look at what you absolutely need to fix going into the next year. Now you know the best ways you can use him, all of his strengths that can be, top-notch, you can really exploit defenses with, and then you bring him the weapons to make that happen. You get a really solid wide receiver in Garrett Wilson, another young guy that he can rock with next to Elijah Moore. And then you get the veteran Corey Davis, who, he'll play some football, and we know he enjoys practicing Berrios. So, and they brought in some good tight ends too with CJ Uzomah as well. So this is Brees Hall.
Don't forget Tyler
Tyler
Conklin.
Conklin.
They brought in Tyler
I didn't know
Conklin.
you wanted me to stay on the tight ends. I was just gonna...
No, I even forgot
Okay,
about
record.
that. Like I even forgot. Like Tyler Conklin, not like someone that we should obviously talk long about, but like Conklin had a pretty decent end of the season or season last year in Minnesota. So like,
Feels Gary Barnage-ish.
I said decent. Okay. I said decent. Okay. I think that the Jets are on the right path though. Okay. And we have them and their records look like this: 7-10 from Aaron, 8-9 from AJ, 6-11 from Dylan, and 7-10 from myself. I'd say if the Jets ended up with any of those records, even the 6-11 from Dylan, I think that they should be jumping in the streets and being happy, because that is, if they end up with that record, that's good to me. That's good. And the step in the right directions. I have them beating Cleveland. I have them beating Miami, New England, Chicago, Detroit, Jacksonville, and Seattle. It's not like crazy wins that like, okay, that like we pulled off the upset, but I think that they can pull off upsets, and maybe it changes from 7-10 to 8-9. But I think the Jets are on the right track. They're on the right track.
They're on the way.
There you
They're
go.
on the way.
There you go. They're on the way. There you go, Jets fans. All right, that does it. We have wrapped up the AFC East and all the good chatter involving these teams. Whew. It's time to get into this hockey game. It's time to get into this hockey game. I'm feeling some type of way right now. But we'll be back again live at 8 p.m. Eastern time right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Friday to break down our final division, the NFC East, along with another Fun and Games Friday. I'll have another trivia for you, gentlemen. Just you two. Aaron's not going to be there to help you, so it's just you two. So you guys have to team up and try and beat me. But you're not going to want to miss it. Another episode of the Sac City Podcast, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. AJ.
Yeah? Bills? Ducks?
Bills.
Ducks have Bills?
Pick it.
Ladies,
Ducks,
gentlemen,
Bills,
all the people who enjoy watching the Sac City Podcast, head on over to Sac City Pod at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Make sure while you're there, you hit those likes, you hit those shares, you comment, interact with us. We love to talk with y'all on all sorts of platforms, commenting and tell you how we feel about certain football takes. If you want to disagree, that's fine. We take all the smoke. It is okay. But the most important part is before you do all of that, hit that like, hit that follow, hit that share, hit that subscribe, and of course, tell somebody about the Sac City Pod on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Come join the city. Come get inside the city limits, because your boys are back in town. Sac City Pod, baby.
There it is. We'll be back again live Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern time right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. For your boy, AJ Johnson, and for good old Dylan Kearns, I am me. We will see you Friday.
Peace out.
Bye.
We know we were a much better team than we came up representing our